Well, good afternoon and welcome to Uncaged on Texas Tribe. We're your source for conservative Texas news. We're all things Texas all the time. We're starting today down in the legislature, down in Austin, where Senate Bill 2, SB 2, about school choice has been making a lot of headlines in Texas this week. Now, if you recall last legislative session, after multiple special sessions, Governor Greg Abbott put his full political war chest against those that opposed school choice. Governor Abbott is back this legislative session, going all in on school choice. So what exactly is school choice? Well, school choice essentially allows parents with children in schools to have a pot of money, a check, a blank check essentially, and they can send those kids to private schools, to charter schools, to gifted schools, to musical schools, whatever they like, whatever they feel is the best education for their children. Now, the critics of this are largely rural state representatives and state senators. We're going to have a representative from House District 62, Shelley Luther, on Uncaged on Texas Tribe later this week, talking about how exactly she feels that the school choice bill is going to affect her constituents up in Grayson County, north of the Metroplex. Now, a lot of you have been following the news about the stock exchange coming to Texas. Well, there's a new news article out about the New York Stock Exchange bringing the Chicago Stock Exchange to Texas. Now, this isn't going to be the same stock exchange as the Texas Stock Exchange that made news headlines back in the fall. This instead is going to be the 143-year-old Chicago Stock Exchange coming to Dallas, Texas. And it's going to be rebranding as the New York Stock Exchange Texas. Exciting news in Texas, and this is on the back end of Oracle and Meta, two of the largest companies by market cap in the United States, saying that they are looking into the possibility of changing their corporate entity structure from Delaware and California to Texas. Now, a lot of you probably didn't read this, but being in law school myself, one of the big news rounds of the last few months has been Governor Abbott establishing the Texas business courts. And a lot of executives in Texas are really happy about this move because these business courts allow business to be adjudicated quicker, more efficiently, and with less cost here in the Lone Star State. As always, Texas is the most business-friendly state of the nation, and throughout this show on Uncaged, we're bringing you real stories. We're bringing you stories of franchisees, of real estate developers, of plumbers, of local independent contractors that have built businesses in Texas. But that's for a different day. So a company called Plug and Play has been in the news a lot recently. They just relocated to Frisco, Texas. It's a Silicon Valley concept, kind of venture capital firm meets incubator, largely focused on sports. Fortunately, I've got a good connection there. One of my good buddies, Alex Honea, is an associate at Plug and Play. Alex is with us live. Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Cage, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
You bet. So Plug and Play just came to Frisco. I know you guys are really hot on the Texas market and a lot of the sports investments and kind of the different sports avenues in Texas. Alex, why do you think a lot of these companies in the sports fields are beginning to choose Texas? We saw the Mavericks change hands to a family with casino connections. We're seeing venture capital firms and incubators like Plug and Play come to Frisco. Why do you think the sports sector is so hot on Texas?
Yeah, absolutely. We have been locked in on Texas for the last year now. We've already opened up two other offices outside of Frisco and have two more opening up this year. Um, just to give you guys some context, we're the most active VC investor in the world, and we saw the opportunity here and couldn't pass it up. You've seen top PEs in the area like Arctos getting involved in the space, and I think that's only going to continue to grow. There's a lot of companies looking to move to the region. We know DFW is the fastest growing metroplex in America right now. And with all the capital, with all the business friendly environments, the booming economy, no state income tax, I think that's going to continue to grow. On top of that, we're about to see an even larger shift next year when the World Cup comes to the United States, with Texas and Houston and Dallas having more matches than any other state in America, including some key knockout stage games. The National Broadcast Center for the World Cup will also be based here in the DFW area. So the global spotlight is going to be right here next year. We're going to see people tuning in from all over the world, as well as joining us in person. And that wave that's coming to hotels, rental cars, restaurants, and everyone's business is going to be affected by it. This is going to continue to only grow what we've seen so far in the sports infrastructure. And we're just trying to leverage as much technology as we can to help prepare for that.
No, totally. And it's funny, like you said, I mean, with pro sports and college sports, I've been reading a lot on that with a lot of the NIL rulings. And it's crazy the economic revenue it brings to cities with those games and such. So, kind of going on what you were saying, DFW booming. Look, if you're a sports fan, you read the Forbes valuation of different NFL teams. The Chiefs have been climbing in recent years for obvious reasons. But the Cowboys, even without Super Bowls during both of our lifetimes, I mean, God bless, I'd love to have one. But even without Super Bowls in the last 25, 30 years, the Cowboys are consistently almost double the next team in valuation. I think this year Forbes put them at about 10.2 billion. But with no Super Bowls, it makes me think that Texas is the reason that valuation is so high. So from your sports brain, why do you think the Cowboys valuation is so dang high compared to other NFL teams who have won a lot more in the recent years?
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the coffin right there. I mean, they aren't just a football team at this point. They're a real estate empire. They're a global brand. It's brand and land is their game, and Jerry Jones has really turned them into a multi-revenue stream business that goes beyond just the typical merchandise, ticket sales, and TV deals. Their success on and off the field doesn't really matter in terms of how they do it from a business perspective and increasing their financial status without those Super Bowls in the last 30 years. One of the biggest factors, we're based here at the Star up in Frisco, which if you haven't had a chance to check out, I highly recommend. It's the Cowboys world-class headquarters, but it's also, training facilities. There's massive mixed-use development with offices, restaurants, retail, hotel. They've hosted high school football games here. They just had the Dallas Open just play here in the Ford Center last week. Concerts, country music awards. So there's no shortage of events going on, and just the amount of land and real estate that the Jones family has acquired through the Cowboys has been monumental. And I mean, just talking about their brand alone, these are the type of guys that, that star logo is worth so much that most of their service providers will pay them just to be the official provider for that service, which is unlike any other business model that we've seen. So anyone that wants to be the official anything at the Dallas Cowboys, they're working out 8-figure deals just to put that star on their logo.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows the Star, that's for sure. I know Tyson Chicken Nuggets just did a licensing deal with the Cowboys where they did star-shaped chicken nuggets, and no telling what that brand deal was. But Alex, I got 30 seconds for you here. Meta, Oracle, you were on standby when we were in our monologue. All these big tech companies are moving to Texas for obvious reasons. But do you think with all these companies moving, could you ever see the SEC with two of the most valuable teams in the SEC being in Texas, or the NCAA relocating to Texas? Is that anything that, blogs write about or that people in the sports world even think about?
Yeah, I definitely think it's a possibility. I mean, we already have the college football playoff and the Big 12 conference based here in the DFW Metroplex here in Irving. I think a lot of it's going to come down to what the legislation looks like over the next few years around sports gambling and NIL. That's really the biggest waiting game right now that people are having to factor in before making a massive move like that. And so I think once we see the dominoes fall there, we'll start to see a lot more movement, not just from the leagues, but from just other sports adjacent companies in the analytics space, the hospitality space, the tech space. I think a lot of them understand the opportunity, but they want to know what they're getting into. And since there is so much uncertainty right now, it'll probably be a little bit until those moves start to happen.
Totally. Well, exciting time for sports. We wish our TC Horned Frogs could play a little better during this sports boom. But nonetheless, Alex Hanea, everybody, Plug and Play down in Frisco. Excited to see what Plug and Play does throughout the state. But thanks for hanging out with us today, and we'll have you back soon.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, Cage.
All right. See you. Now, we're going back to what exactly we want this show to be. Look, I'm born and raised north of the DFW Metroplex, arguably the most booming Metroplex in the nation. You've got international airports that can get you anywhere. You've got a government that promotes business, a state that believes in merit, a state that believes no matter what the differences are we have on paper, we're Texans. And that's where we got the name of this brand, Texas Tribe. We're one tribe of Texans, a tribe that believes in that conquistador mentality that anything is possible, that if you work hard and if you put your head down and you're willing to make the sacrifices, you ultimately get the rewards correlated to the risk you put in. That's Texas. We want you here if you want to compete. We want you here if you're kind. And more importantly than anything, we want you here if you're willing to create your own destiny. Throughout the next few weeks, we're going to start our show Uncaged on Texas Tribe, having state representatives, having state senators, having legislative members, having university presidents, having experts in business, interviewing real entrepreneurs. all on Texas Tribe because we believe Texans can be the new way forward for America. We're not dwelling in the past of social issues and of the divided culture of the last 10 years. We're moving on to a new frontier, one where Texas leads the way. Thanks for joining us on this inaugural show of Uncaged on Texas Tribe. We'll see you back here next week. And as always, Texas forever.